Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of David Talks. It's your old pal David here and your old pal Larry. I'd like to begin with today's episode as we talk about the predictions that actually happened. How they were predicted and happened, we don't know, but with the transition of technology and AI, we don't even know where the hell it's going to go. But we're also living in an age right now where we believe that a car will be electric one day. And again, for a friend that is watching this right now, I'd say they suck. Just an inside joke, guys, between me and my best friend Kevin, who could be watching this right now. Because we have this conversation about cars being electric one day, and, it's crazy. But I respect it. It could happen, or it can't. We don't know.
So you predicting that cars will go electric one day?
In my opinion, Larry, I don't think anytime soon, because even though we are shying away from gasoline engines, I think one day there will be something that'll take over, but I just don't think that we have the infrastructure right now. I'll be honest with you. Hybrids are actually the best bet, in my opinion, as of right now. But I can definitely say that just like the invention of the television set, we are at the age of research that needs to be done to actually find something that could replace gasoline engines. And maybe it could be electric cars. We don't know. We just are trying multiple factors right now to replace that. But it's all about money. Not about the planet, but all about money. Because the idea has been around for years, and now all of a sudden we want to implement it. That's definitely a red flag.
Who the hell wants to drive a car that ain't got personality?
I know, Larry, for a guy, it's like getting your dick cut off.
Ouch!
Now let's get going. Now let's talk about the first prediction made by Nostradamus, if I pronounce his name correctly. I had a small conversation about this guy with a coworker a while back. The guy was right on point with what he said, but how does a guy that lives in the 1500s come up with this stuff and later on comes true? My coworker believed that he was an alien possibly, but in all honesty, that could probably be all BS. Though I do believe in aliens, he just had a lot of forethought and intelligence to guess correctly in a vaguely way. But also coincidence. But for those of you who do not know who he was an astrologer and a physician, and he had a book called Les Prophéties, published in 1555, with 942 poetic quatrains that predicted future events. Now let's look at one of them.
Mr. David?
What, Larry? Can't you see I'm busy?
I predict that this is going to be a great episode.
Larry, just shut the hell up, man. You're just a sarcastic prick as usual. Anyways, he writes, "An emperor shall be born near Italy. He will cost the empire very dearly. They will say when they see his allies that he will be less of a prince than a butcher." Now, what does he mean, and who could this be? The only person that we could think of is Napoleon Bonaparte. He was born on August 15, 1769 in Corsica, an island in the Mediterranean Sea that had just been transferred to Genoese, an Italian-controlled with French rule. Though technically French by the time of his birth, Corsica had deep cultural and political ties to Italy, and many of its residents still identified with its Italian heritage. By the way, going back to Nostradamus' prediction, it was somebody that was born near Italy, both geographically and culturally. But what about the line that says he will cost the empire very dearly? Known collectively as the Napoleonic Wars, 1803 to 1815, they were among the most devastating wars in history. France lost hundreds and thousands of soldiers, and the financial burden was enormous. It had massive military spending with weapons, ships, horses, supplies. France was almost at war constantly all the time. Beyond France, the Holy Roman Empire was effectively dissolved under Napoleon's influence. The empire here is interpreted as France's first empire, which he created, or as the older European empires that suffered under his campaigns. Now, in analyzing this line of Nostradamus, again, he says, they will say that when he sees his allies that he is less of a prince than a butcher, because his actions betrayed the idea of nobility. He wasn't just a ruler, he was a warlord that sought power through destruction, and that made many to see him as someone who shed more blood than he protected lives. He inspired admiration for his brilliance, but also deep fear and resentment for the cost of his ambition. Napoleon was known to be calculated and detached when it came to losses. He treated soldiers like chess pieces, moving them strategically but not always humanely. He led 600,000 troops to Russia and came back with a fewer 100,000. Most died from cold, starvation, and attacks during the retreat. Historians call it one of the worst disasters in history, and many saw it as arrogance and cruelty on Napoleon's part. Another prediction that Nostradamus predicted was this, and he says, "Volcanic fire from the center of the earth will cause trembling around the new city. Two great rocks will make war for a long time. Then Arethusa will redden a new river. In the year 1999, in the 7th month, from the sky will come the great king of terror, bringing back to life the great king of the Mongols before and after, Mars Turine by good fortune, causing great shakiness within the new city. Many people believe that this was regarding the 9/11 attacks that happened within New York City. The word volcanic fire in this context probably refers to the airplanes that collided within the Twin Towers that exploded. And the word new city is often thought to be New York because the word New York is one of the most newest major cities with the word new in it. The line about two great rocks fighting for a long time could be referred to as a symbol of the Twin Towers. And the word war for a long time could be referred to as the War on Terror, which lasted many years and affected many countries. The part about Arethusa reddening a new river is often taken to mean that the peaceful life that people once knew was now stained with blood or changed by violence, possibly referring to the rivers in Manhattan or the world in general. And another prediction, Nostradamus mentioned the year 1999 and another king of terror coming from the sky. Although the king of terror from the sky sounds a lot like the planes that came from the sky and caused fear around the world. The line of the king of Mongols coming back is thought by some to mean the return of powerful enemies to the east, like the terrorists or strong military leaders. After 9/11, the world did see years of war, fear, and changes in how people lived and traveled. While not everyone agrees that Nostradamus did predict these events, the images of his writing match the mood in ways that many find surprising and even spooky. Now let's dive into the 20th century, dating as far as back as the 1900s. John Elfreth Watkins Jr. was an editor and writer for magazines, also the curator of mechanical technology at the United States National Museum, also known as the Smithsonian Institution. He's best known for his work with the Ladies' Home Journal, where he wrote about articles of future technology and predictions. His most famous piece, What May Happen in the Next 100 Years, showed a lot of imagination and surprisingly good guesses about the future. Watkins had a strong interest in science, engineering, and progress, which helped him think ahead. Interestingly, he wasn't a scientist himself. He was just very curious about how the world was changing around him since he had the invention of the telephone and electricity. In 1900, John tried to write an article about what the world would be like in 100 years. And many of his predictions came true in ways that he could have never imagined. He said that people would carry wireless telephones around, which resembles a lot like today's cell phones. He also said that photographs would be sent around the world in minutes, which is just like how we send pictures today through the internet or through text messages. Watkins also believed that there would be high-speed trains and cars traveling much faster than what he could imagine at the time. And today we have bullet trains and cars that travel very fast. He also guessed that people would eat ready-made meals at home, which we now have in the form of frozen TV dinners and takeout. He even predicted that the average person would be taller, which has happened over the past century. He believed that homes would have heaters and air conditioners. He also predicted that today's population would grow from 350 million to 500 million, which also is close to today's numbers. He also said that farming would produce bigger vegetables and fruits through science. And while strawberries are an apple size, there have been major advances in technology with farming. He predicted ready-to-wear clothing that would replace custom tailoring, and machine-made meals that would be delivered to homes, both of which are parts of normal modern life, which is true with today's tractors and technology. But not all of his predictions came true, as he thought cities would ban cars and that people would be walking and biking and that people would live to be 150 years old, which hasn't been made yet. Watkins also believed that farm animals like cows and horses would no longer be needed, but they still remain important today. Even with a few misses, his predictions showed an amazing understanding of what the world would be like. Another thing that didn't come true was the fact that the alphabetic letters of C, X, and Q would be removed from the alphabetical list, and that didn't happen. But it just makes you think that even if you lived in a time that is less advanced, somehow you kind of question how in the hell did he get this right. But all in all, he was definitely right about one thing, that this world would be ruled by technology, speed, and convenience. But on the note of technology, what did people think about future cell phones? In March of 1919, a British tabloid called The Mirror published a playful comic by the name of W.K. Haselden called The Pocket Telephone. It shows 6 scenes where a man's tiny phone buzzes at the worst moment, if he's running for a train, at a wedding, a concert, or while holding a baby. Each panel jokes that a pocket phone could be a modern horror, always interrupting life at its most awkward moments. At the time, handheld telephones were pure make-believe. Incidentally, the comic predicted that it would one day be a thing long before anybody actually built one. Even earlier in 1906, American inventor Charles Alden claimed to have invented the world's first pocket telephone, though no working model ever appeared. Hazelden's comic strip still feels true today because cell phones do indeed ring at the most awkward times, while we're in a meeting at work, or while we're at the train. It just happens. And the idea of always being reachable has grown since then. I mean, this is just amazing. I mean, the only difference is the pocket telephone only handles calls, whereas modern-day cell phones have multiple capabilities, reaching the internet, call, or text. And it's just amazing that people in 1919 could actually predict indirectly that there will be a world one day where the use of a telephone would be able to be reachable in your own pocket. The pocket telephone cartoon of that time even shows how much of a phone that small and wireless can interrupt a person's daily life in often silly and awkward ways. And then we go to the computers, what the 1960s predicted about them. In 1967, a Philco Ford Corporation predicted what life would be like at the turn of the millennium. It was titled 1999 AD. The film depicted of an American family home filled with technology, which closely resembles to the devices and services that we use today. For instance, a homemaker is using a video console to shop and browse for groceries, a concept strikingly similar to today's concept, DoorDash, Uber Eats. Here's the video.
Fingertip shopping will be one of the many homemakers' conveniences. This video console will be channeled into the store of her choice. There, a camera will scan a display of wares, which she will select by push button. Another part of this console is a household monitor screen, which maintains a watch on critical areas in the house, swimming pool, or yard. What the wife selects on her console will be paid for by the husband at his counterpart console. All bills and transactions will be carried out electronically. A central bank computer will debit the family's account the amount of purchases and credit the department store, for example, informing the family's home computer at the same time. Father, at the touch of a button, receives an instantaneous printed copy of his budget, the amount of taxes he owes, the payments left on the car, and so forth. All documents and household records are available on the video screen for immediate reference. Also at his disposal is an electronic correspondence machine, or home post office, which allows for instant written communication between individuals anywhere in the world. To maintain these and hundreds of complex electronic circuits, a monitor checks all circuits every few seconds, inserts a backup circuit if and when trouble develops, and alerts the communal service agency for replacement.
Now, the family communicates through video calls like we know today, FaceTime, Zoom, but also manages household finances and schedules through this computer. While some aspects of this film reflect the gender roles of the 1960s, it does show one thing, that the technology prediction of this era was extremely accurate. And they basically also predicted that the computer would serve as a librarian, a teacher, or a banker, much like what we have today as Siri and Alexa. The film even predicted that this computer would also teach children from home, also a concept that we would later find 5 years ago during the COVID-19 pandemic. Around the same time, an engineer by the name of Jim Sutherland was bringing a similar vision to life with the creation of ECHO, which stands for Electronic Home Computing Operator. Built in 1966 using the surplus of parts from Westinghouse Electric, it was one of the first attempts of the home computer. It weighed approximately 800 pounds and housed in 4 large wooden cabinets. And the system was installed in Sutherland's basement and connected to various terminals around the house. The ECHO could perform tasks such as performing household budgets, controlling the thermostat, maintaining an inventory of household items, and even assisting with word processing. While it was never commercially available, the ECHO demonstrated the potential of integrating computer technology in daily home life. And Sutherland's work paralleled the very futuristic theory of how future computers would be, that they would be in every home and that they would be portable in terms of actually creating everything digital. And this laid the groundwork of personal computers and being able to do everything from home. And just look at that screen. Does it not resemble today's technology of a flat screen and a PC on the bottom? It looks really identical of a flat screen computer.
Man, this gives me the creeps. I mean, look how rotten accurate that is. First, a man from the 1500s predicts about 9/11, then a man from the 1900s predicts what cell phones will be like, and then they got this video from the late 1960s on what a modern-day computer will look like of the future. Are you crazy, boy?
I'm not making this crap up, dude. Why would I paint these pictures up, man? I mean, these are real photos and videos of that era.
I think you did. And according to my calculations and my one eye, you've been drawing these pictures behind my back. And as you were talking, you somehow sneaked your hands into grabbing a pencil and a paper, and then you drew all these images.
Oh, you are so drunk, dude.
No, I ain't.
Yes, you are, dude. You're not making any sense right now.
You wanna fight about it, boy?
No, because you're not in the right state of mind.
Oh, now you got me really pissed. So you called me a piece of crap, boy? You dumb cracker?
Anyway, guys, please remember to subscribe to me and have a great day.
Subscribe to whom? Sticks and stones may break my bones. A white boy like you is what makes you a dumb cracker.
Larry, you're white too, for Christ's sakes.
So you better get your ass straight.
Okay, well, you...
Dumb gringo.
Dumbass gringo.